Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson go back and forth. Both of these guys are calling each other out. Shakur says that he's open to fighting Teo and wants to see if he's daring to be great the same way Shakur's daring to be great. So Teo started it, and then Shakur responded, let's see if you're really about it, you know, Teo. And so we'll see what happens. I feel like this is a good fight. I feel like this is a really good fight because Teofimo Lopez, obviously a better boxer, a pure boxer compared to a guy like William Zepeda, more athletic and more intelligent in my opinion. I think Teo's more talented as well. Zepeda was probably Shakur's toughest test was Zepeda, but if Shakur fights Teo, that's not an easy fight for Shakur because I think Teo's more explosive than Zepeda. I think he hits harder than Zepeda, and I think he's more intelligent. You know, I didn't think that Zepeda could beat Shakur in a boxing match. I mean, who really can beat Shakur in a boxing match? There aren't many names that I can think of where I'd like be confident or even somewhat confident that they could beat a guy like Shakur in a 12-round boxing match. But Teofimo is one of the few names that I think can do it because Teo has power. Like I said, he's explosive, has good footwork, hand speed's there, he's a good counter puncher, and he knows how to close a distance. You know, he knows Shakur well. They've known each other for a long time. Shakur is that master of distance. He's a very difficult fighter to hit. So Teo, I believe Teo would maybe be the underdog in that fight. He'd probably go down at 140, I would assume, because Teo would have a hard time making 135. So Teo versus Shakur at 140 would be a tremendous fight in my opinion. I think it's a close fight as well, but it's hard to bet against Shakur right now because with Zepeda, he just showed everything that, you know, the people were questioning him about. We were all questioning whether or not if things get hot, can Shakur Stevenson handle that? Can he handle the heat being in that kitchen? And he showed against Zepeda that he could handle it and he could fight back. You know, he could sit in that pocket if he needs to, and he can dog it out, thug it out if he needs to. And for Teofimo Lopez, we've already seen him be an elite fighter. We've seen him beat Vasily Lomachenko. Lomachenko and Shakur was supposed to happen at some point last year, but never really did go down. Would have been a great fight, but Shakur has never faced someone like Loma, and he's never faced someone like Teofimo Lopez. I feel like Jamel Herring and William Zepeda, Oscar Valdez, those have kind of been the top names that Shakur has faced. But other than that, you know, he hasn't faced anybody like Teofimo Lopez. And I don't think that Teofimo Lopez is going to be a heavy favorite against Shakur. Shakur might even come in as a favorite against Teofimo. You know, that's how good Shakur is. Even though he's never even fought at 140, he's open to moving up for Teofimo Lopez. Maybe he sees some holes that he thinks he can exploit. You know, Teo has that low hand, that low lead hand. He always fights like that. But I don't know if he'd have to worry about the power from Shakur Stevenson the same way he had to worry about Lomachenko's power, because Loma did damage to Teo in the later rounds. But I don't know if Shakur has the firepower to really get Teo's attention, but I don't know if Teo's going to be able to touch Shakur Stevenson. You know, he's going to have to be precise, and Teo is a precise puncher. He's a big puncher. He's explosive, like I said, but like I said, Shakur's a very difficult fighter to deal with because he's a master of distance. When you have a fighter that knows his range very well and, like I said, is great at finding his distance at which he can hit you and then get out of range, that's a very difficult fighter to beat. And, you know, Shakur showed me a lot in that Zepeda fight. In that Zepeda fight, I saw Shakur sit in the pocket. I saw him against the ropes and feel comfortable. Maybe stayed on the ropes a little bit too long for, you know, my liking, but Shakur showed that he can thug it out. Like I said, like he can be a dog if he needs to be a dog. And that's all I ever questioned about Shakur. I always questioned whether or not Shakur had heart and whether or not, you know, if he got hit, how would he respond? And we saw that in the Zepeda fight. He showed that he's a dog. You know, he has to prove that to the people, and he already did that in the Zepeda fight. So obviously Teofimo Lopez is a bigger puncher than Zepeda. He's more talented. He's a difficult stylistic matchup for anybody. But, you know, if Teofimo's really firing, this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a good fight between Shakur and Teo, because Teo's going to try to step to Shakur and land something crazy and be sneaky with it, because Teofimo Lopez is really intelligent in there, and, you know, he knows how to pick his shots. He knows how to time fighters. We saw that against Barboza. We saw that against Lomachenko, and we saw that with Josh Taylor. You know, these guys are also come forward fighters, though. So when a guy's on the back foot, we're going to have to see Teo go and get it. But, you know, I got to favor Shakur right now. I think it's a really close fight, but I favor Shakur over Teofimo Lopez just because Teo looks his worst when he has to go get you. So I think if Shakur fights on the back foot, I don't expect Shakur to fight Teofimo Lopez the same way he fought Zepeda. I think Shakur is going to go back to hit and not get hit, be more defensive, and he's going to move a little bit more and make Teo work. And that's when Teo has a hard time, when he has to hunt for his food as opposed to someone coming to him and making him look like a good counterpuncher. Shakur's not going to do that, or at least I wouldn't expect him to do that against Teofimo Lopez. So let me know in the comments down below who you guys would have between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. I like the fight a lot at 140, but let me know down below. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been your boy Matt with Nabs Boxing. Peace.